に静かになったよ。
What you have just seen is from the show Run for Money. It is obviously a game variety show, and the reason why I suddenly want to talk about it is because there exists so little game essay about physical games. There are so many game-related content about video games, but none of them for the most primitive kind. The kind of game that you play when you were a child. These, and because I'm busy lately and binge watching many old episodes, are the reason why I want to talk about it now. It is a simple show about tech. The show has been ongoing for 20 years. It is so old that the old episodes that you hardly find online aren't even broadcast by Japanese media. And I know this is the only way to watch it because there are tons of Japanese comments. It is also a show that is so popular that it created an anime spin-off, a real-life movie, and video games. At first glance, it doesn't make much sense. Tag is such a simple game. You have someone who evades and someone who does the catch. It might be fun if you are the player, but how is it fun to translate this into a viewing experience? This is why I think we can learn a lot from Run for Money. It's not just a random show that I can recommend others to watch, but it is also a show that you can learn from for its game design. I'm not trying to say after watching this, you can make something like Fall Guys 2.0. I'm saying the philosophy behind its game design is worth noting. So, without further ado, let me give you the rules of the game when it first aired. On the one hand, we have players who are usually made up of celebrities who will try their best to hide and run until the countdown has ended. On the other hand, the show will send out someone called the Hunter to catch them. They are designed to look like this emotionless, robotic machine. And yes, I know what you are thinking. The reason why celebrities are so rich is because they are playing Run for Money. Send this message to your friends and families to get rich before this message gets deleted.
Sorry.
Where was I? Oh yeah, there are the mechanics for this game. You can opt to leave the game early. There are scattered phone booths in the area. You can dial a number announcing you're giving out, and you will be able to leave with the money that you have made so far, given that you don't get caught while doing it. The show counters the participants' incentive to leave by increasing the total price with each passing second. For example, if the game is 30 minutes long, in the first 10 minutes, player can earn 100 yens per second. After the first 10, the show will notify the players they are now earning 200 yens per second, so on and so forth. With all this simple setup, how would you improve the game rules? The simplest way is perhaps adding mission to the game. The word mission let us have an excuse to manipulate all the game variables. So far, the most obvious type of variables are the number of players and hunter. They can always be removed or added. What's more, time and money can always be increased or decreased. And let's not forget that we need a place for us to chase, so the area of our arena can also be expanded or reduced. This all sounds quite intuitive. If there is a value, then we can always decrease, maintain, or increase. But can you think of a way to further improve this formula? One of the first things we have to ask ourselves when we come up with a formula is the questions of hidden variables. It is easy to think our model has sufficient data samples, but there are some additional ones that we have yet to factor in. For instance, distance. As we all know, you need to move around to play tag. So distance is something that only increases over time. But distance itself is meaningless. So we can combine it with something like the number of players. This is exactly what happened in episode 6. Unbeknownst to the players, the show had been tracking their walking distance. They have to move in total of more than 2.5 kilometers within 10 minutes to not get eliminated. This creates 3 benefits for the show. First, they punish the players who have been stalling since the start of the game. Second, it's easier for hunters to spot the players when they move around, so it creates exciting moments. Third, if players do get eliminated, then there will be fewer winners to grab this prize. Speaking of combining variables, there are 2 variables that are always in conjunctions with one another: time and money. This symbiotic relationship creates tricky outcome. Time in this show doesn't represent real time, it's a fictional one. So you can do one thing unrealistic: pausing time. By pausing time, you can cause the grand prize to stop increasing. Moreover, not every mission in this show is compulsory, so by adding a time-stopping mission, it can increase the engagement from the players. This freedom of choice also highlights the personality of different players indirectly. If the time is literally being stopped and you are not doing the mission, then you will just look like a coward who is scared to get caught. Another tricky thing about linking time and money that's worth considering is the following situation. If I increase the countdown time, does that mean you will get more money in the end? It seems obvious. If 1 second equals 100 yen, then by increasing time, we are adding more money to the pool. A perfect instance would be episode 7. The player originally had already won, but they receive a mission message. It says, if you're willing to play another 20 minutes, you will get 2 million yen instead of 1.26 million, once again using the greed to turn against them. However, there is a way to increase time and simultaneously take away their money. Because remember, time is fictional. In episode 14, the game design team did the unthinkable and reversed time movement. The timer turns from counting down to up. The player will lose their money if they don't let the timer go back to the original state. So here's a unique example where the playtime of the game is increasing, but the money is being taken away. Honestly speaking, there are so many more interesting ways to be creative with it. If you need a device to receive mission info, then that means we can jam the signal to put you in danger. If we let players to report each other, it will turn into a balancing game. Players can sought after the bounty prize by being a mole, or let others live another day to increase the chance of clearing future missions. All these lines of thinking so far change things on a macro level. If we want to localize variables, we can also design things from an individual level. We can do that simply by breaking down the process of tag. There's the start, there's the chase, and there's the end. The end is either you get caught or you survive. We can inject new elements into each of those parts respectively. During the start of the chase, instead of having a countdown, we can have players gamble in their opening. One of the starting mechanics for opening is putting hunters next to the players, and players need to take turns pulling out the chain until the hunters are out. Those who don't trigger the lock can leave early to find a hiding place. A variation of the starting mechanic is by rolling dice. Players need to roll dice to accumulate a certain number before they can leave. If they get unlucky and roll out a hunter icon, the hunters will be released in front of their faces. During the chase phase, it is easy to focus on running, but if we don't get sidetracked, we can choose to enhance other qualities of a chase. In order to catch someone, we need to first identify the position. So in some of the missions, the show call in a helicopter to help out the hunters, using two to gain an advantage. You can also have a numerical advantage. In some of the episodes, the hunters can have sidekicks. They cannot catch players, but they can expose players' positions. The best part about these sidekicks is that they feed with the theme of that episode. If players are running in an Asian village, then ninja will be the sidekicks. If it is inside a theme park, then it will be people who are at the carnival. Even players can have extra help by using make-believe items. They can reduce the number of hunters by trapping or freezing them. And just like any game, a story makes a game more interesting. In the earlier days, anyone that was passing by was just a stranger on the street. But later on, it introduced NPC characters for players to do their missions. It was quite awkward at first, adding a storyline to attack. It's like something that was designed for audience to watch, not for players to immerse into. However, things would change because the show had gotten a bit clever with the use of NPC. Take this scene as an example. An NPC is having trouble grabbing his own belongings. Players can totally miss this. It's not an official mission, but more like a hidden side quest. If no one helps in the end, the show will still be fine. But if players do help, they will accidentally progress the story and gain benefit. In episode 28, they further improved the story formula. NPCs are giving mixed signal to the players. If you help certain NPC, you will actually benefit the evil characters. And I'm not even getting into a story within a story. Somehow a show about tech develops a meta story with its own lore. Now, when it comes to the end phase, we can have what I mentioned before, extending the time to let players choose between greed and safety. Or we can revive some of the players who have been caught. It can even be a delegate system. When the players get caught, he or she can get half the prize if one of his or her appointed players somehow survives. With all this game design, bugs and loopholes are inevitable. Some of you might have seen this video where AI is trying to learn how to play hide and seek. After many iterations, the hider figured out the only way to lose is being touched by the seeker. If that's the case, then it doesn't have to do much other than guarding up itself. Something similar happened in the first episode. One of the players did the unthinkable and climbed up to a tree. He would be the first and only survivor to win this prize. This is how he described his tactic.
そこにいたぞ。だってハンターが全部見えるもん、どこに行くか。追っかけられてると思うから怖いのよ。こっちが監視してればいいじゃん。
I think after that episode, the show fine-tuned the rule, and I have never seen anyone climb up anything since then. Another interesting case is in episode 3. Remember I said you could end the game early by using the phone booth. In episode 3, the show decided to do something special. In an effort to end things early, you need to find and touch this NPC who will be walking around. Initially, it seems like a novel idea. If the NPC walked past you, it would be tempting to give up. But there's a deadly flaw with this design. It doesn't take time to give yourself in. One of the players figured this out and decided that what she had to do was just stalk the NPC. If hunters come by, she can turn herself in immediately. Normally, if she were to use the phone booth, she might be too nervous to dial the correct number. Not to mention, it takes time for the other side to pick up. This new mechanics neglects all of those essential features and resulted in a loophole. But that doesn't stop the show from inventing new ways to give yourself in. For example, writing calligraphy and running through the long steps before you can successfully leave. Now, there's still one important element that I've not touched upon: the actual players who play the game. When I see celebrities who join the game, I don't just mean singers and movie stars. Sometimes it includes heavyweight kickboxer, marathon runner, boxing champion, etc. It has a genuine cast of players that you would like to see if they can outrun the hunters. But even with that in mind, most of the time, the tag chase itself is nowhere near as exciting as professional tag competition. There will be no crazy tactics to evade or absurd movement to catch. The opposite, however, is more likely to happen. There's another layers of enjoyment in watching these players who are doomed to fail. Ordinary people who are chased by 6-foot-tall secret agents hoping that miracle will arrive is an underdog story that professional tag cannot display. I still remember Kokusho Sayuri from the 11th episode. Usually female players have a harder time playing the game, so it's very easy for them to hide and discard the missions.
任しときゃ大丈夫だよ。はあ、行かない。もしもし。
舞ちゃんミッションどうすんの？ミッション。
私、行かない方向性に傾いてます、気持ちが。
But Kokusho Sayuri is different. She doesn't panic like others, and you can sense she has this level of calmness just by hearing her voice.
45分の間、あと何分だろう。
You can hear she can even be decisive and assertive at times.
もしもし先生、今どちらにいらっしゃいます？国章です。
今ね、はい、松坂屋。
前にいるの？何が見えます？
ちょっと待って、ちょっと待って。
慌てないで、慌てないで、先生、弁護士さんですよ、慌てないで。
いや、慌てないかんじゃ、慌てないから。
And there's this one mission where they need to feed the animals to stop them from resetting the show price. This guy was assigned to give Panda bamboo, but he panicked and brought apple to the elephant. So the whole team lost half of their price. When she calls him after the mission, she's not disappointed. She sounds like a kind mother disciplining her son.
ちょっとさ、クレームの電話入れていい？田中君に。
もしもし。
田中君？
はい、田中君です。
パンダが食べるものは何？
僕が食べるものですか？
パンダです。あなたじゃありません。
パンダは笹です。
あなたリンゴ持ってったでしょ。
リンゴ持ってきました。
なんで笹持っていかないの？おバカさんね。本当に。じゃあそういうことで。
At times, she would be even braver than K1 fighter.
嘘。どこにいる？
逃げ足が速い。
武蔵さん弱虫ね。
K1 ファイター。
Even others thought that she was incredible. So it is happy to see her survive and win the prize in the end. She is not the first female player to win, but she's the first that actively participated and win. This is one of the charms of the show, discovering the personality of the players and hearing out their inner voice. There are some players with interesting family dynamics.
生き残ることをまず考えると、はい、姉に叱られます。いつもの姉の荷物ぐらい重いです。よく一人でここまで運びましたね。うちの姉の荷物を思えば全然日頃鍛えられてたんです。はい。ですね、姉が欲しいものがあって、で地球儀が欲しいと言われて、喋る地球儀なんですけど、それが100万円なんですよ。で、美香さん、8万円は美香さん使えるわよって言われたんですが、ただ100万円で購入した場合消費税がつくじゃないですか。で、105万円となると私は3万円になるんです。だから3万円で何か、はい、買えるものを。
If I get $1 billion every time she mentioned her sister, then I will have at least 3 billions by now. That's a lot of money, so it's weird that it only happened 3 times. Some would also say the show revealed the hidden part of Japanese culture. A lot of the times, players are not willing to take a safer bet and leave early, possibly because they know they are here to entertain. There were instances of people being judged because they chose to use the phone booth instead of joining the mission. This shows the part of Japanese culture where you need to make sure others' happiness comes before your own. Interestingly, sometimes people might intentionally choose to give up on a mission or leave early because they are known to be the bad guy or people who slack off. So they are playing a character when they are on the show. Despite that, I think there are times when it is just genuinely good to participate. Episode 18 is a great episode. It has my favorite mission. It is the last mission the players have to do. It's nothing special. You just need to deliver the scrolls to the chief to save the ninja village from the legendary warlord Oda Nobunaga. It is a mission that will not punish the players by sending out more hunters, reducing the price, or closing off a zone. Nor will the mission benefit players by giving them money opening up new zone or reviving players. It's really just a mission to save a fictional village. To be fair, they're trying to use the scroll to summon dinosaur, so that's always a plus. But that's beside the point. In reality, why would anyone do the mission? Well, I'll let them do the answer.
それでハンターが増えるとかもないっぽいですよね。マジで。
このミッションはゲームには一切関係ない。ハンターに見つかる危険を冒し里を守るかどうかは逃走者たちの自由だ。
ミッションは参加しますか？
します。
なぜですか？
村人の人たちにね助けてもらったし、ご飯と小水ももらったしね、こんなね秘密兵器ももらったし、だってこの人たち悪い人じゃないでしょ。
だって私たちを隠れさせてくれてる里だよ。それは守らなきゃね。私行く。もう絶対やりきる。これお疲れ様です。
困ってる人助けないと。
ミッション行きましょうか。
やりましょう。行きましょう。助けましょう。その前にここどこだろうか。
Not only did no one abandon the mission, but everyone joined in. The game design and story successfully immerse every player in risking the $1 million for a fictional ending. It reminds me of Squid Game The Challenge, because the opposite happened. I was tracking the facial expressions of players when I watched it. Do you know how many times players actually smile? 0. They always look anxious and uncertain. But that's not to say no one feel the moment of joy. They are always happy after the game has ended. It's quite different from Run for Money. No one looks sad knowing that there will be no reward because the show is fun.
このハラハラ感っていうのが半端ないぐらい楽しいですね。こんな真剣に小学生以来じゃない？
でもね、面白い。こんななんか大人になってからこんなドキドキするゲームやってねえもん。
And I also share this level of immersion when I saw an episode featuring a guy named Kanata Satoshi. He's the lucky man who gets to pull the first chain and leave, but anything after that is a bumpy ride. Not long after the game has started, they receive a mission to prevent Hunter from releasing. They need to acquire a secret code to do so. Kanata keeps his momentum of being first, runs to the place, memorizes the code, and spread it to others. He thinks he has done enough, so he goes back to hide. But when the mission is clear, he's notified that his contribution didn't count.
ミッションクリアは僕がミッションクリアにならないんですか？
最初に番号を確認し逃走者に広め貢献したカナダ。
番号解除した人がリスクしたこと。
じゃあ番号を見た人のリスクは何にも考えてないってことですか？俺めっちゃ死に物ぐらいで行きましたよね。
As the game goes on, another missions occurs. There are now multiple blockades on the road that restrict players but not hunters. It greatly limits the chance of survival. The only way to remove the blockades is by having every player scan their fingerprints within 15 minutes. Canada is of course willing to join the mission. The only thing is, minutes have passed and he makes no progression. When he tries to get to a certain place, he faces blockades. When he runs through the street, he requires guidance to destinations. He will somehow be the last one to finish the mission with less than 1 minute left. He has exhausted his body, but there are still 45 minutes left. Most importantly, there are more missions to come. The next mission is a chance for them to get a larger prize. They need to carry a box to a device. While something that 1.08 million is enough, Canada will rush to mission location with no hesitation. He's once again the first to arrive. But this time, the most challenging part is not pathfinding. It is the 13 kg box. He needs to carry that for more than 200 meters.
なぜとかなんでとかないですよ。やらなきゃいけないんす、男は。
He's getting closer and closer. Yet, the most unfortunate thing happens. A hunter spots him and creeps from behind. He's blissfully ignorant on what's about to happen because he's blinded by the mission. Athletes from the past have tried to escape the chase. The heavyweight fighter, the boxing champion, and the marathon runner have all lost to the hunters. The journey of Canada is fizzling out. Somehow, all this running, all this laboring task still does not tie his spirit down. He escaped against all odds. His box, however, is left behind. It is spotted by another player. As soon as he put it onto the device, he gets caught. This caused everyone to think that he did all the work and even sacrificed himself.
相川翔の活躍により2個目のトランクが届けられた。
これにより全員の初期が20万円アップとなった。なんなの？かっこよすぎる。ちょっと待って。翔さんが成功した裏側には俺の死闘が繰り広げられて、俺全部持っていかれてんじゃんか。
The contributions of Canada is once again neglected by many. His internal struggle for actual contribution will appear once more in the final mission. When the last mission is announced, he is still elated to get to the mission location. Nevertheless, the hunter shows up. He fails to get to the place until the end. He is the only player who didn't do the mission. He's constantly on the extreme end of either being the first but not getting recognized for his effort, or wasting all his energy just to be the last. A nameless hero indeed. So it just makes me want to cheer him on and on. Can something good just happen to him? Time is running out, but the same goes for the players. It is less than 1 minute. Now he should win. But somehow, Hunter comes around. Is it still possible for him to escape after all this wasted energy? So you count with the timer. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
6、5、4、3、2、